All right, guys. Uh, it's noon on the dot, and I'm supposed to tell you how to sell a home. I'll try not to shake the hell out of my camera. Um, I hope everyone's having a great day. I sell some homes. Hopefully, you guys will sell some homes, and hopefully, this will be somewhat interactive, and you'll feel at the end of the day you can sell an extra home or two a year. Little bit of background about today. We're going to take you through how to get more listings, how to pre-market those listings, what to do when you get that listing. So someone wants to sell their house with me. Now, what do I do? Then we have an offer. How do I negotiate that offer? How to take that offer to closing, and then after you close with a client. Once again, please be as active in the chat as you would like to. I'm kind of a big interactive person with this chat, so bring it in. Anything you got to say, we're here for you. I have to keep admitting people, which is a little annoying, but howdy. All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. How to get more listings. That is the name of the game, right? I'm sure everyone here understands there's a difference between a buyer's agent and a listing agent. Most people are trying to do both. To be fairly honest, I am still trying to do both. But the goal is to become a 100% listing agent, right? You can have pretty much unlimited listings. You can only take so many buyers around every day. So the money and the love and the passion, and to not get burnt out, you really have to become a listing agent. You'll hear that over and over again in your career. And thank you again for coming and listening to me babble on about this. So first of all, we want unfortunately to get more listings, sitting in your house doesn't really work. So if you just want to sit on your couch and watch Bob's Burgers, probably not the way to get more listings, right? I think everyone can agree. Put yes in the chat box if you agree that watching Bob's Burgers will probably not get you more listings. Thanks, Alex. So one of the keys is to rub shoulders with as many people as possible, right? The more people that you interact with on a daily basis, the more opportunities you are then giving yourself to get more listings. I think all of us innately understand that. Going out and doing it tends to be a different story, right? I always bring up this one story about lunch. So if you went out to lunch every day, it would cost you about $20 a day. I'm not going to do the math right now, but if you have a calculator, if you spend $20 a day for about, let's say you went out 300 days, you're talking $6,000 a year. The average commission on a $300,000 property is about, let's say, $9,000 at 3%. Let's say you pay the market center 70% of that. You're now at 7,200, I think 7,200 bucks or something like that. That is more than it costs you to go to lunch 6 days a week for a whole year. If one time you run into somebody who gets you one, plus the lifetime of a lead is a lot more than that one deal, there you go. You went out to lunch 6 days a week, got to eat whatever you wanted, spent $20, and all of a sudden, you're richer than you were before. And I think at the end of the day, the goal for all of us is to be able to pay our bills, be able to feed our family, and be able to help our clients. So meet as many people as you can. It's one of the best ways to get listings. There are other ways if you're more of an antisocial person than I may be. Antisocial may have a bad connotation, but I think it's more, just not so gregarious, not always out there. You can always go the mailers route. You can send a ton of mailers to a ton of houses and people call you. You can call up people and ask if they know anybody willing to sell. But I think the key is that you get into your database, right? I think that's something that Keller Williams does very well with Command. There are a lot of ways to really infiltrate your database and touch them multiple times. Type yes in the chat box if you have at least 20 people set up on a smart plan right now. Just type yes in that chat box. I would like to see how many of you have actually been using Command to really get these people set up. So we got a few people who are doing the right things and really taking what Command has to heart. And I think that's one of the biggest things. When I first started in real estate, I sat there with a notebook. Actually, this one, I've already ripped out the pages that had the people's names in them, but I wrote down everybody's name in my phone and all of their phone numbers. And then on the third column, I just said, is this person going to sell within the next year? And so I'd call them and I'd say, hey, it's Justin. I just got into real estate. If you or anybody you know is looking to buy or sell, I would love to help them. I'm clearly new, but I have a mentor behind me. I won't let your friends down. I won't let you down. I am here for you. I will be the best agent you could ever hire. And I would love it if you would, keep me in mind when you have real estate needs. So I just called. I had like 1,000 people in my phone, which is probably more than most people, but helped me immensely. I did 4 deals in my first 4 months. It wasn't always that bright and sunshiny, but that was one of the ways I went about getting listings. And I think that could work for anybody, right? Because at the end of the day, we all want to help our friends. So if you call people and you really ask them for help, they want to help you, right? Like if someone opens up a new carpet cleaning business, I'm like, man, I wish I had carpets. I wish I could give this person business. So don't be afraid to reach out. Your friends want to help you. They're your friends for a reason. They want to see you thrive. I know it's hard to get on the phone. I know it is hard to ask for business. But remember, if you are providing a value, they will want to give you the business. I use this example a lot with my team. If I was walking up to a house and I was asking them to give me their firstborn son, how many people do you think are going to be like, yes, absolutely. Here's my firstborn son. You can have it. You don't even need to give me anything. Here you go. Maybe 2 or 3 that are really looking to offload a son. I know Lee would probably have been given up in his early childhood, but not many people are going to do it. And I think sometimes when we go door knocking as real estate agents, we act like we're asking for their firstborn son. Like, can you give me your listing? I really want to sell your house. I have nothing to offer you. Just let me sell it. Come on, man. Come on. And I think at the end of the day, that's where all that stress comes from, is we feel like we're asking for something we don't deserve. Now I turn that around. If I had $20,000 in my pocket and I said, hey, I'm going to walk up to this house and I'm going to offer this person $1,000. Do you think people would be like, would you be nervous to walk up to that house and offer $20,000? No, not in the least. You'd be so excited to walk up and give this person a present. You have to learn to think of yourself as that present, right? As that I am someone who has something that this person may not know they want right now, but they should want, right? If they hire me as their listing agent, I will provide a better service than Justin Himmelbaum could ever provide. He's dorky. He smells funny. He talks too fast. His voice is too raspy. You wouldn't want him to be your listing agent. You want me, Lee Montgomery, you want me to be your listing agent because I will work harder than anybody else will. I will leverage Jackie Ellis and the amazing people at Keller Williams, the new and official Dan DeMont team leader. You have all of these amazing resources behind you. If they go with somebody from United Realty, they have messed up. They have blown it. They don't have the resources. They will never sell your house for as high a value or as fast as I can. If you believe in yourself, you can walk up to any door, you can make any call. You know you're offering someone $20,000. So getting into that, how do you now sell the home? right? You want to get this listing. Well, let's go to a listing appointment, right? So someone calls you, they say, hey, I want you, Justin Himmelbaum, I want you to sell my house. I don't know about any of you who've gotten a listing before, but anytime someone calls me and says, hey, Justin, come list my house, I am so flattered. I cannot believe that someone would, of all of the agents in Palm Beach County, of the amazing agents that are out there, I mean, look at just the agents on this call that you could hire and they called me. Like, that to me is the best thing that could ever happen. The one thing I want everyone to remember here is to never be jaded by this business, right? At the end of the day, we're here for people. And if you ever forget that for 1 second, your listings, your buyers, they're going to go down the tubes. You have to remember, we are here for the client and the client only. Will that result in dollars in our pocket and bills paid? 100%. But if you forget for a second that this is a client-centered business and without them, we are nothing, it's going to be downhill. So I get so flattered when someone wants me to list their house that I take that responsibility. I don't sleep until it's sold. And honestly, I have 2 listings that are on over 100 days. So it's been a long time since I've slept, if you can't tell by the bags. So the one thing to remember is that we are here for them. Don't ever forget that. So you get this listing. What do? You go into their house, create a friend. You go on this listing appointment. If it's not a shoe-in, remember to create a friend. Rapport is everything. People want to work with people they like. So whether you know the person before or you don't, definitely bring some data, show them why, the comps, all those types of things, which I know have been talked about ad nauseum in other classes. If you would like a secondary class about what to do on a listing appointment, we can set a second one up. But for now, let's just talk about what to do. You want to create rapport. You want to go in there and make sure that this person, at the end of the day, likes you so much that they'd feel terrible not giving you the listing. So that's what Shelby and I do. We go in there, we make a friend. We may point out a thing or two that we do better than other people, or that we have Keller Williams behind our backs. But at the end of the day, they just want to like us and know that we're going to do everything in our power to sell their house. It's not a hard business, guys. And I think anybody who's gotten a listing knows that. It's really a lot easier than we think it is and than we want to make it out to be. So now let's go to you get the listing. They call you up. Hey, Justin, the listing's yours. Listing agreement. You want to shoot for that 3%. You can talk to Jackie about the rest of it, but really want to shoot for that 6% listing. Really helps get your listing sold. You want to shoot for the 6-month listing. In this market right now, it seems that everything's selling in a week, but the market could shift any day, and you don't want to be only left with 3 months to sell a house. It really takes a lot of your energy to sell a house. Don't short yourself on that time. You get the listing. How do you take the photos? What do you do next? Please, please, please take professional photos. If you need a professional photo guy, Joey Duhan did a course last week or 2 weeks ago. Guy's the best in the business. Doesn't charge that much money. Everyone is on Zillow looking at houses. We all know that. The way to connect with people is through pictures these days. Just get good pictures online. Once we get the pictures.
I'm sorry. What was his name? The photographer? Because I'm new to this area. I'm from the Gardens.
Yeah, I'll text you. I'll put his name in the chat right now.
And I need to. Thanks.
You can text me, and I'll send you his contact info. That's my contact info. 561-302-9, and that's my number. So you get the listing. You're going to take the photos. And then what? So the photos, you want to put them up online. There's another class that teaches you how to put a listing on the MLS, but for the most part, we want to make sure that the photos are great and then we're getting them up in the right order, right? So the average person is going to look at the first 5 pictures on Zillow, right? They're not they're not going to flip to the 30th picture. So let's make sure that the first 5 pictures show the main parts of the house. So if you got a pool, if you're on the water, if you're on a cul-de-sac, and then the outside of the house. We want to show those 4 at least in the first 5 pictures. Because if you don't, you could have already lost the person and the pool might have sold them or the waterfront might have sold them. I know those things are in the listing, but on Zillow, people aren't really reading the listing as much as you'd think they are. So make sure you're getting those pictures out. So the old people that are just scrolling through, they see those pictures and they're prompted to read more. So you get those pictures on in the right order. The next thing that's important is what you write in the description. Shelby and I have our thoughts about what we write in the description. We're always big on, highlighting points about the house that you can't see in the pictures and aren't evident from 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, So hurricane impact windows are big for people. Sometimes waterfront isn't very evident. Anything big, talk to your clients. Make sure that your clients are telling you what they love about the house. Always walk through it once with them so that you know how they view their house. What made you buy this house? That's going to be one of the keys to selling the house in the future. So now you get the listing up on the MLS. Make sure to get showing time set up. One of the biggest things agents forget is to set up showing time right away and to set up the photos right away. Make sure to get those up within the first 20, 30 minutes, or else people are going to be looking at your house and be weirded out by it, and it'll get skipped. We like to list our properties on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Everyone can have their opinions about that. If anybody has a different opinion, please put it in the chat. We do Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then we try and hold out for an open house on Saturday or Sunday before we allow any showings. It allows buyers to see each other, which is huge. The more buyers see each other, they get very territorial about their houses. And it's definitely a great way to sell a house is to have people see other people at an open house. So we try and leave a few days of no showings and then get those first showings at that open house. Really creates a lot of buzz. And if anybody, someone put in the group chat what they think about equilibrium price. How does the market come to an equilibrium price? Does anybody know? Alex, competition's a great answer. I would say supply and demand, right? So there's a supply of houses out there. They are all listed at certain prices, and you have to come up as creating the best value. So the more supply on the market, the less demand. So if you can get more people wanting to see your property, that's the key, right? If you could have 100 possible buyers and you only have this one house, you will make the equilibrium price will go up. The supply and demand curve, simple micro macroeconomics, I don't know which one. I'm not that smart, but you want to make sure that you are creating as much demand for your property as possible. Pictures, open houses, not allowing showings. Really, these are all techniques to really help you create more demand for your property. Unfortunately, you cannot change the supply of the properties on the market unless you bring buyers to the other ones and get them sold, or blow up the houses. But I highly advise against that one. Lori taught me that, but I'm not using it anymore, Lori. I'm over it. We're not blowing up any houses anymore. So you create this demand. The first week is the most important. Any agent will tell you that, especially in this market. How many open house events do you do on a listing? So we try and do one the first week, and then we try and go every other week for the next few weeks. After about 2 months, we die down on the open houses because then you're really leaving it up to the market. Do one a month after that, maybe. We've had a lot of luck with open houses. you just got to keep doing them. It's a numbers game, right? The more people, like we talked about at the beginning, I know a lot of you weren't here exactly at the beginning, but this is a numbers game, right? The more shoulders you rub against, the more you show your personality and interact with people and they know, like, and trust you, the more chances you have at selling homes. So we like to do as many open houses as someone will let us do, just because it's just more chances to sell that house, more chances to interact with buyers, more chances for the neighbors to see how hard we're working. We're famous in this area for putting out 40, 50 houses, open house signs for every open house, which makes it look like we're just working harder than anybody else. Are we? I don't know. I would say I am, but I'm sure, listen, everybody in this, I know a lot of the people in this chat and they're working their tails off morning to night to sell houses. So, but perception seems to be everything. Good question, Vinny. At the open houses, we have been having live music, depending on the size of the open house. But we've been having live music, raffles, giveaways, putting out all the signs with balloons on them. We give away our home team masks, which you can see here. We got these made by a really nice guy in town, $8 a piece. Super expensive, but if you do one deal, it's worth it, right? Not a great habit to get into, as Jackie tells me, but I like that. If I do one deal, it pays for itself. Lee, I put the open house signs out myself. DeRay and Shelby definitely help me with that now, but we all do it. It's definitely a team effort at the home team. But listen, would I love to pay somebody to do it? Absolutely. It is not the most fun part. It's an hour before, it's an hour after. But if it gets one more person to buy, that hour is worth of it. Open houses in gated communities are pretty hard. It usually takes either an extra person to be at the gate, or, you really have to put the signs out with, the owner's name to ask for at the gate. Those are really tough. We happen to not do a lot of HOA neighborhoods, and definitely not a lot of gated neighborhoods. So we've been lucky that way. But the times they've been unmanned gates. And so what we've done is we put a sign right outside the call box and just said, call this number, and then made sure the seller is at their phone to accept all the calls. Great question. Definitely puts a hiccup in the open houses. So now we have this house. We're doing the open houses. We're doing everything we can to sell it. We're putting it on Facebook, Instagram. That's a whole nother class. I'll do another social media class in a few weeks. But social media is huge. I don't love the sponsored ads, but creating your own organic network is huge. So at your open houses, getting people to follow you on Instagram, at your, getting them to follow you on Facebook, really contacting these people. You should be touching everybody on your Facebook through Facebook Messenger multiple times a year, because it helps you pop up in their feed more. You should be commenting on other people's stuff on Facebook, makes you pop up on their feed more as well. There's a lot of things we can talk about with social media organically, which is what I believe in. I am 100% organic. I do a lot of mailers. I don't think they help as much as they should. I think organic is the way to go, but we can talk about that at a later date. But make sure to put your post up on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere you can to possibly get another buyer. A friend might know somebody. You want to give yourself as many shots to sell this house as possible. So you get an offer on this house. Now that's the next step, right? So you're going to get an offer. In this market, we can talk multiple offers because it's just crazy, right? So let's just say the normal market where you're getting usually one offer a week to a month in. How do you negotiate that offer? It all comes back to supply and demand. And at the end of the day, you want to get this house sold for your client, but you don't want to short them money. And most agents will advise that the first offer is usually the best and the seller's usually holding out for more money. And that is usually the case, but we have to do the best to explain the market value of our property, not only to our clients, but also to the buyer's agent. Buyer's agents like Lee usually know nothing about the community. I'm just kidding, Lee, you're the best. Lee's one of the good ones out there. But you have to remember, these buyer's agents, most of the time, they don't even know how to run the comps on the property you have. They have no idea. Their buyer came to them and said, I want to pay $260 and that's it. That's what I'm paying. And they say, okay, that's what you're going to pay. They don't even, it might be only worth $250. They don't even think about it. They just want to get a deal done so bad. They need that $7,000 for their pocket so badly. Their heads off the rails. So you have to make sure that you have the ammunition to say, listen, this is the price based on the current market conditions, based on all of the demand out there for this house and the other houses. This is the price of the house, and this is what my seller deserves. Another thing people usually mess up when it comes to pricing houses is make sure to understand your seller's motivations. A lot of the times, Lori can tell you, these sellers have to be out of their house in a month, 2 months. They have another house they want to buy. They need to be under contract quick. Make sure you're understanding, are they willing to take a few thousand less for the property to get it sold quickly? Do they want to hold out for highest and best price? These are all different negotiating strategies that, once again, we can handle in a different class, but this is a brief overview of listings. Now we get it under contract. Well, let's talk about the negotiation another time, a little bit more. So things in the negotiation that are huge. What percent down? So, what are the deposits? Lori, Lee, I would love to hear from you guys. What are the normal deposits you like to see from a buyer? Lee, what are the normal deposits you like to put down, first and second deposit? What percentage of the price do you guys usually go with?
So best scenario is 10% in full first and second deposit. That to me is very strong. There are situations where people are doing 95 or 97% financing and they don't have that cash to do that. So we have to look at the whole picture, and we try to create a scenario that's a win-win. Certainly no less than 5%. That's like a given, unless it's a VA financing or it's a reverse mortgage.
And I'm the same along that lines, as you can see. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
But usually I try to get my buyers to do it all in one lump sum up front instead of do two deposits, because it is protected. And I feel a lot of the seller or listing agents thinks it's a stronger offer with a bigger deposit up front.
I love that. Like Lee and Lori said, I think those are two really big things. When I'm the buyer's agent, I'm trying to, get my people in there for the least amount possible. God forbid something goes wrong. But we love to stay in the 5% range that Lori said. That's always pretty huge for us. When we try and split that up between first and second, makes it easier on most buyers. But like Lee said, if the buyer is willing to do it all in one lump sum, definitely looks better to the listing agent. So that's one thing that comes in the negotiation stage, right? Is, hey, we need more money down. We need to feel like your buyer has more skin in the game. The biggest thing is inspection period. Buyers get cold feet. Hands down, happens, 5-10% of transactions. If you give a buyer 15 days to think about a property, they'll find a way out of it. You want to keep it to 7 to 10. If you can get 5, get that inspector out there, get this thing done. Don't give them time to think about it. Make sure that you are protecting your seller by not giving this person unlimited time to think about getting out of this property. Clearly, we can always extend the inspection period if we're having issues with mold or the AC repair or things like that. There can be extensions made, but let's try and keep it to 7 to 10 days max. 7 is definitely preferable in this market. Those are big negotiating tools. For buyer's agents out there, which I know a lot of us are here, think about putting, 10 to 15 days as your inspection period. Let that be a negotiating point that you're willing to concede on, but it'll keep your price more in line with where you want to be, because you can discount, you can give more down payment, you can do a lot of other things, but your client's end goal is going to be price and the house. So figure out where your client is in terms of just wanting the house in this market. Come in strong if they just need to have this house. But if not, really think about doing a 15-day inspection on your thing, on your offer, and let them try and beat you down to the 7 to 10 days. It'll make the seller feel like they won something. So now we get an offer, we're negotiating the deal. Now we have to get this deal to closing. One of the keys here is to keep your seller informed at all times. Sellers really don't like to feel out in the open. So make sure that every 2-3 days you're calling them, checking in, and saying, hey, listen, this is where we are. There's no new news, but I'm here for you. If you have any questions about what's going on, they just had the appraisal, blah, blah, blah. Here's going to be the next steps. Make sure they know what just happened, what you're doing now, and what's going to happen in the future. Jackie taught me that. Shout out to Jackie Ellis, the GOAT. But let's make sure also to work with people in the office, right? Call other people in the office if you have any questions. Jackie's here for you. Dan DeMott, one of the best team leaders we'll ever see, is right around the corner, is always here to answer questions for you. This guy knows how to sell real estate. Go talk to him about all these things. Now, we're going to get to the closing table. The home team recommends gifts, making sure there's stuff there for the kids if there are kids, dogs if there are dogs. Go above and beyond. Really make them feel like this was a special experience for them, because the closing, for anybody here who's done a closing, is super anticlimactic, right? This whole thing, you're buying this largest asset of your life, and at the end of the day, you spend 30 minutes signing papers, and it's over. And you have a house, and now what do? You got to go clean the house and put furniture in the house. So make sure that you're making this a special experience for your clients. Does anybody have a way that they make this more special for their clients that may help the rest of the group? Feel free to speak out loud, unmute yourself.
So Justin, some of the things that we've been doing in the past is if we represent a buyer, it's one thing. If we represent a seller, it's a different thing. So if we're talking about buyers, and I understand there are a lot of buyers agents or people who do work with buyers on your call. By the way, you have a lot of people on here. So what we do is we have a little goodie bag, a closing bag that we give to our buyers, and it's a personalized bag. It says the Sharer Team, and it has all kinds of goodie gift certificates. We have a gift certificate for a locksmith so that they don't have to go and find somebody to change their locks, and that's our gift to them. We have some certificates for, I think we're still doing it. Some of these companies have stopped doing, but we used to get a Capital Lighting gift card, $100 gift card that they could go use and purchase anything. It doesn't cost us anything. Capital Lighting wants business. And so they know if your buyer who just bought a home is going to come in, they're going to probably buy several things there, fans or new chandeliers or new whatever. So for them, it's a great investment. We previously had been giving a gift of having it's not a housewarming party for them. Nobody has taken us up on this. We offered them a housewarming where they can invite 10 of their closest friends. We'll bring in the food. And this way they can show off their new home, and the money is on us, but we then get to know who their 10 people are so we can add them to our database. Nobody's taking us up on that. I think what happens is people are so busy getting their house set up, they forget, even though we remind them, but we're not giving up. We still want to do that. We want to do a barbecue for them, a cocktail party, whatever, because we like parties. I think with COVID, it's also, sort of on the back burner. But we get excited for them. We want them to remember how exciting this can be for them. So that's what we do for our buy. What else, Lee? What else do we put in that little bag?
It's a lot of little goodies. When they move in and they got everything boxed up, they don't know where their plates or their forks or things like that. So we put some quickie like Solo cups, some plates,
Right.
paper plates to use and things in there.
Toilet paper, paper towels.
Yeah. So it's simple things, but they're so thankful because usually they're like, oh man, I don't know where I pack my dishes. And so that, and then the one last thing we're doing was the custom floor mats that we deliver.
Oh,
after
that's
the
right.
sale.
Yeah.
And that was a big hit.
Right. So it actually, they have their option of either having their address or their name on this outdoor mat, because some people don't want to have their name on it and others are happy to have their address. It's just a welcome mat. It's a welcome mat out for their front door. And then we deliver it a couple of weeks later when they're a little bit more settled.
Dolores, I know you're new and you're asking, what do you usually give sellers? I would like to hear from you. What would you give a seller if you had to think about it? What would be the gift that you would give?
Well, I would probably give them a bottle of champagne, or I would give them some wine, or I'm a baker, so I, usually give them like cake, cupcakes, things, something like that. I'm not new. I mean, I've been in the business for a while, but semi-retired, so I'm just kind of brushing up again. Because I just listed my home, so I hope to sell it soon.
By the way, Dolores is not a baker. She is an artist. She makes the most amazing decorations on her. It's amazing. She's an artist.
Dolores, put the address in the chat. Maybe we'll have a buyer for it now.
I hope so.
All right, so going back to this, I think this is, these are important. I'm going to mute everybody again. But I think these are important things, right? We can all sit around and come up with tons of different gifts. And I think Lori and Lee, awesome ideas of what to give buyers. We've always done that. These people want to give you gift cards to their place so that you can, these buyers and sellers are going to go frequent that establishment now. Costs this restaurant $5, $10 gift card. If they don't use it, it costs nothing. If they use it, they got a customer. So think about, go to any business you like and just ask them, hey, would you mind giving us 20 $10 gift cards? We're going to give them to clients. They're going to come in. We did it. We have gift cards to like 5 or 10 different places, Kapow, a juice bar, a bunch of different places, and we give those to our clients. We also give them out at open houses. So it incentivizes people to come to your open house, and it incentivizes, and then people are excited when they close, they get $100 in gift cards. It's like, who else is doing that? So let's make sure to be going above and beyond for people. Nguyen, I love that. So we've been sending books to people now. That's a huge one. If you ever hear of somebody and they're like, man, I'm having such a tough time with my plants, just send them a book about how to raise plants. You know what I mean? These little things are ways to stand out. Shelby and I have been talking about it for the past 2 weeks, but Gary Vee has a thing he calls the Taylor Swift principle. Taylor Swift is famous for, people would tweet her and say, hey, I want you to come sing at my birthday party. And she would go do it, which makes no sense, right? Like, why would Taylor Swift fly somewhere, play for a free audience, and then fly home? Well, it was so amazing that it went so viral. The marketing was incredible. We need that marketing from our clients, right? We need to make their experience so amazing that they would never think that if their friend was like, I'm going to use Cindy Walters for my listing agent, you'd be like, your client should look at them and be like, no, you're not. You're going to use Justin Himmelbaum from the home team. You're never going to get a better experience than that. I promise you, he took such good care of us. Those are the things that you want to happen every single time. So make sure that you're going above and beyond and really providing this at closing to make sure that you're going to get this person's business every single time. After closing. So this is the kind of the end of the presentation. What do you do after you close? That, you know, client's done, you brought them their gift, you put them in command, right? They should already be in command. Now we have to have a follow-up plan. We need to make sure that we know what exactly is going to happen over the next 2 years so that there is no shot that this person isn't referring us all the time, that they're not going to use us the next time they go. They're not going to use us every time a family member needs anything. If they ever rent out their place, they're going to call us. We need to make sure we have a follow-up smart plan, and that'll be another class. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Justin,
Yeah.
this is Susan. I wanted to ask you, when do you ask for a review, and where are you putting your reviews?
So we have been, I wouldn't say we've been the best about that. We've been pretty good. We just do Zillow, but Facebook reviews are huge. Google reviews are huge. So we ask for it pretty much at the closing table. We're like, hey, you know, it was awesome to work with you. If you could just, you know, just take 2 minutes right now and just put something on Zillow about this transaction, we would really appreciate it. It goes a long way to help us, you know, get more business, and you had a good transaction with us. And we hope that, you know, through that we can have more people have this service. So we go right after that. We kind of, you know, at the closing table, the people are usually most happy with you. So
Right. Do you think that things are going to change with Zillow when they, you know, they're going to have their agents, they're going to have their own agents? Do you think it's going to change like our reviews on there at all, or no?
you know, I think it's part of their shtick that it's where everybody goes. And if they start really ostracizing other agents, I don't think that's going to be great. But yes, I think that you're not going to come up. It's going to be Zillow agents that come up where you used to come up. So I would definitely look into, you know, diversifying where your reviews go. But it's still nice to have them somewhere in a condensed place where you can send somebody and be like, look, here are my Zillow reviews.
Is there some way that you can get them to do one review, but it goes to like 2 or 3 different places?
Not that I know of. If anybody else does, feel free to put that in the chat. But no, I think you have to go on each place. But you could send them 4 links, right? You could have an email all set up that has all 4 links to Google everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Susan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's Shane.
Yeah, I can hear you.
There's a company called Real Satisfied,
Uh-huh.
and if you sign up with them, they automatically send out a survey every time you have a closing, and it automatically posts to Facebook and Realtor.com.
Okay.
And then
All
you
right.
can post it anywhere else you want to post it as well.
Okay. So they'll put it on Zillow if you want it on Zillow too.
I don't know if they're connected with Zillow. I think they're just connected with Realtor.com.
Okay.
I have
All
to
right.
check. But it's called Real Satisfied.
Thank
And
you.
they also send you a copy of the review, so you get to download that, and then you can paste it to your social media or post it to your social media.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Alex, I saw your question. After a home is listed on the MLS, how long does it take to appear on Zillow? It seems like 2 or 3 hours. If anybody has a better number than that, that's what it seems to me. Everyone's good? Happy? Healthy?
Thanks for doing this, Justin.
Of course. No worries, man.
Dolores asked, what is the average time for home selling now?
So I think the average times for home selling is probably under a week. if you list it right, if you get it with a good agent, you do it right, which Dolores, you either are or gonna be soon. But at the end of the day, it's all about the type of property you have. Some properties are more niche than others, and are just, there's just so few buyers out there for it. That's just kind of how it goes. We have one property now. It's 600 square foot condo by the beach, not on the beach, like a block away, and it just seems so hard to get a buyer in there, and it's been hard. I've listed 2 others in the same building. It's just there's just very few people out there. So it's supply and demand, but supply and demand is based around each type of product you're selling as well. So single family home in Boynton Beach for $300,000, it's sold, right? Don't even worry about it. But if you're talking about maybe a niche condo or some $7 million house, these are different markets, right? Where there might not be as many buyers. So really it's a supply and demand curve. The demand seems to be higher now. So I would say they're selling for more and quicker than they were before. Let me get my photographer's name and contact. If anybody has any other questions, I'm still here. Here, I'm going to put his name and contact here. What are we doing? 972-834-4471. All right, so the photographer's name and info's in that thing. Yeah, he does a great job. Never disappoints. He's always pretty much available. Someone had mentioned Virtuals One. They're also a great company. I used to use them all the time. I just felt that their product wasn't as good, and it was about the same price. And for how photography driven buyers are at this point, I would definitely upgrade for the 50 to 100 bucks that Joey might be. I would pay him to really get slightly better photos. Vinny, we don't use Zillow tours or Matterporting with our listings. We have done the 360 tour a few times, which I really like. I have to find another person who does that. I do know Virtuals One does offer that product. But yeah, other than that, the Matterporting seems a little extensive. And I also think it allows people to see the house slightly too much before they come see it. So it allows people to see it without getting the feeling of being in the house. And I think that can be misleading, and people can be like, oh no, I saw it on Matterport and it just didn't strike me as the house. Versus if they come, it could be a different aura when they get in there and they could feel a vibe. And you got to remember, buyers are very emotional. And if we make this too black and white, I get scared that they're not going to feel the je ne sais quoi of what a house has sometimes. Another thing that, I didn't really cover in here, but I think goes with the je ne sais quoi of a house, which I don't even know if is a thing. I might be making it up. But I think something really important is like a light staging. Make sure if a house is kind of dark or anything like that, we're making it as bright as we can. We're adding lights, we're adding, fake trees or real plants or something inside the house that could possibly make this house a little more approachable to a buyer. I think that always, it's been fun to kind of give you guys all the advice you can. If any of you have anything else you'd like to follow up with, I'll put my number in here right now. Not that you couldn't find it on the MLS or from anybody else, but that's my number. Feel free to shoot me a text if you have any other questions that you might not feel like putting in here. And thank you again for letting me come on and share with you guys. Always makes me happy, just like Jackie. I really love sharing this stuff. Love to learn
Thank you
from
so much for hosting.
Of course. Have a great day, guys. I'll stick around for like another minute, but other than that, Have a glorious one. How do I do?
You did wonderful. Thank you so much. Absolutely fantastic.
Thanks for joining, guys.
Bye, guys.